You know, I have a really big soft spot for the guys who aren't necessarily great and who aren't necessarily given the opportunities to succeed and then are moved to a different environment and then they do succeed, they prosper, and they finally fulfill their potential in bloom. This is one of those cases. Let's ask, is the Robbie Fabbri trade the best Detroit Red Wings trade that they've pulled off in the recent memories of the Red Wings? Okay, that's a little bit of an overstatement, but Robbie Fabbri has been absolutely ballistically good for the Detroit Red Wings recently, and it comes on a team that's really not doing too great in general. Let's talk a little bit about what exactly went down a few weeks ago when Robby Fabbri was moved from the St. Louis Blues over to the Detroit Red Wings in a 1-for-1 trade for Jacob de la Rose. Back then, Robby Fabbri was sitting at a pretty comfortable 1 goal in 9 games played. Now, he wasn't really being used. He wasn't really being played to the best of his extent, and people kind of saw the talent there, but they also saw some of the other poor defensive situations that Fabbri had to offer, and that combined with the coaching and combined with the overall team being really, really good, the Blues are currently first in the West. It put Fabbri in a really bad situation where he wasn't being played, he wasn't being given the opportunities, and he wasn't being given the room to make mistakes and play his game. So when he got traded over to the Detroit Red Wings fans were kind of happy. Hey, we got a young guy who has some offensive potential, who hasn't really been using it to the best of his extent, and it's a 1-for-1 trade for a Jacob de la Rose who hasn't necessarily been amazing either. Take a look at it now. We're 12 games past the Detroit Red Wings trade on that day. The Red Wings have played 12 games. Fabbri has played in all of them, and he's had 10 points in those games. The Red Wings are on a 7-game regulation losing streak. That sucks. That's really not great, but the Red Wings were not supposed to be great in general this year. Fabbri, however, has had himself a really good tenure of 10 points in 12 games played ever since arriving in Detroit. If you take a look at the 7-game regulation losing streak, Fabbri has 4 points in those 7 games. So it's not necessarily bad. A lot of Red Wings fans are saying things like, yeah, Fabbri is one of the only reasons to actually watch the Red Wings right now. He's doing really well, and he's been given the opportunities to actually play his game properly. What exactly do I mean by this? Well, let's go over Robbie Fabbri and his game log. Back when he was playing with the St. Louis Blues, look at his ice time right here. His last game with St. Louis, he had 11 minutes time on ice, which is not great, but at the same time, it's not like super, super bad. But if you go a little bit further up, he gets 9 minutes against Montreal. He gets 6 minutes against Vancouver in the game where he actually gets his only goal with the Blues this season. 11 minutes, 8 minutes, 11, 10, 10, 8. Robbie Fabbri wasn't being used at all by the St. Louis Blues. 8 minutes played in one game as a forward is not a lot. And considering the fact that the forwards get shuffled around quite frequently, 8 minutes is really, really short. The guy wasn't given the ice time, he wasn't given the positions, he was playing in the bottom 6 in a defensively sound role, in a role where they really wanted him to be great in the St. Louis end. That's not necessarily Robbie Fabbri's game, and because his focus has mostly been offensive throughout his career rather than defensive, the times where he did show a few defensive lapses were the times where he got played the least. Now go over to Detroit. His first game played with the Red Wings, how much does he get played? He gets played 13 minutes against the Boston Bruins, and he gets 2 goals. His first game with the Red Wings in a 4-2 win, he gets 2 goals. He gets more time on ice in that game than he has with any other game with the Blues this season. And he shows everybody immediately, hey, this guy's here to play. And we have to give credit where credit is due because they put him on the first power play in his first game, and that's where he got his 2 goals. He was the middleman, the slot man, the guy who they would send the puck across the slot to and fire off those one-timers. He had 2 one-timer goals in that game, and he made his presence immediately known amongst Detroit fans. Come the next game played of Robbie Fabbri against the Vegas Golden Knights, he gets an assist. He gets 15 minutes of time on ice. Then take a look against Anaheim, 16. Then against LA, 18. This guy's been playing more and more as the season has gone on, and it actually is the start of when the Red Wings start losing, because the Red Wings did have a 3-game winning streak from the moment Fabbri stepped in, but then they started losing. They've lost 9 straight. They've lost 7 straight in regulation, but Fabbri has been pretty good. Really, really good. He's had 5 goals and 5 assists, with a goal last night against the Washington Capitals, where the puck is sent out to him out in front. He dekes it over to the backhand, and he absolutely roofs it. The guy's showing off his skills, and the guy's showing everybody that he's the real deal. In the month of November, Fabbri is up there with the best of the best on the Red Wings. Points-wise in November, Athanasiou leads with 12, Mantha has 11, then Bertuzzi and Fabbri have 10 apiece. He's also tied for number 1 on the team in goals in November with 5. It's a 4-way tie between those 4 players. So the Red Wings guys are really starting to get things on the move. Robbie Fabbri has been a really good addition to this team, and the only place to go from here is up. Because the Wings have lost 7 straight in regulation, and that's terrible. But once this team starts actually finding ways to succeed, and once their younger prospects, Filip Zadina included, actually start to get the opportunities like Fabbri has, then I think things will start to really fall into place. It's not going to come next year. It's not going to come in 2 years. It's going to come a while down from that. But the pieces are in place, and the young core of Athanasiou, Larkin, Mantha, Bertuzzi, and now Fabbri is looking to have a good foundation for their NHL futures. Now, before we actually end things off, I wanted to talk about Zadina a little bit, because Zadina in November, 4 games played, 1 assist. What's with the development of this guy? Seriously, I was just waxing poetic about how Fabbri has been given the opportunities with the top 6 and everything, but Filip Zadina is down here, playing with Franz Nielsen and Darren Helm on the 3rd line in a defensively sound role in what's similar to what Fabbri had to face in St. Louis all those weeks ago. Filip Zadina has not been given the opportunities, but you can see that the flash and the skill is there. He's just not given the room to really express that. Filip Zadina is a player who needs this too. Please put him in the top 6. He deserves it. Give him that chance to actually do well. And a lot of Detroit fans said things online. I saw this on Reddit. I saw this on Twitter. I saw things like, yeah, well, when we had other rookies come into the team, like Larkin, etc., they had a really easy time transitioning because they were playing with guys like Zetterberg and all that. Well, you don't have the guys like Zetterberg now. You got Darren Helm, you got Franz Nielsen, who are a little bit older and who do provide that maturity, but Zadina's not going to be doing great when he plays with those guys. Play Zadina with the other offensive dynamos that you have on the team, and maybe he'll start producing. Filip Zadina is nowhere near bust territory. He shouldn't be in trade rumors like he has been if you looked at the past few weeks worth of trade rumor news. And the guy's only 20. He's only 20. I'm not going to sit here and say that Filip Zadina should be getting a point per game right now, just like Bertuzzi and Athanasiou and Mantha and Robbie Fabri, but I am saying that you should give Zadina the chance. You're hurting his development by playing him in the NHL on the 3rd line with vets in a defensive role, rather than having him in the AHL where he was actually doing really well this year. 13 points in 19 games for Filip Zadina, and the guy's all up there in the points. Now in the NHL, he's up there in the defensive zone. So that's my little rant on Zadina. I didn't even really think I probably should have talked about this, but like, I don't want to make an entire other video about Filip Zadina. Might as well just include it in the Robbie Fabri video. So that's my little 2 cents on the Detroit Red Wings and their forward situation right now. I think there's a lot of potential going forward into the future, but some of these guys are getting played more than others, and some of them, cough Zadina, really probably should get played a little bit more. I think you can agree, right? Hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.